What's up, everyone? It's Chris Moustache again, coming at you hot with another review. Let's get right in it. So today I'll be reviewing Elfen, which is an anime that I saw on Amazon Prime. So, hot spot. Check out Amazon Prime if you don't have it already. Elfen is about a young man who lives in this big house and meets a young girl named Lucy who has telekinetic powers. And as the story progresses, we learn where she comes from, why she has these abilities, and these two people's connection. Before I go into the review, I just want to give you guys a precedence. When I watched this, I watched the dub version. So some of my biases and my critiques is because of the dub, and I'm sure it's a little bit distracting because the voice acting isn't the greatest in it. But I tried to put that aside when I was reviewing this and really thought about it from a conceptual standpoint instead of just the translation of what I was experiencing. So the first thing I liked the most about this anime was the action and the brutality of these scenes. So she has telekinetic powers, which means she can do a lot. And really when she uses it on other people, and we see the blood, gore, and guts of everyone as soon as we are introduced to her character. And that is something that's really amazing, really brutal, really detailed. They don't put any bars hold. They really just show it all as if this was a realistic kind of scenario where someone actually had telekinetic powers. We would see everything just being splattered all across the walls, guts, entrails, blood, brains, all of it. And they don't even hide any of it. They put it all up in your face just so you can see that. And that's what was really amazing about this anime. And it reminded me a little bit of Akira in its brutality and in some of its themes. So what I didn't like about this anime was a lot of everything else that was involved, a lot of the writing. And again, like I said, I'm putting the dialogue aside just because I know that the dub version and the translation could be off, but I'm going to look at this from a plot-only perspective. So the pacing of the plot was very lazy, and it depended on the violence from earlier episodes to get your interest. But as it progresses, it slows down a lot, and it doesn't keep up with the same pace that you're introduced in that first episode. And that really is what made me lose interest in this anime, was because that the pacing was so off in terms of the plot. The writers do even attempt to show us a little bit more of the intrigue, a little bit more of what we were introduced to in the very beginning. They sort of sprinkle it in, but it is not the main focus. What the main focus of this anime becomes is Koda, who is the main male character, and his interactions with Lucy, who has forgotten all her memories, and other female characters. And the interesting part of Lucy's background of the laboratory that she was tested in, that again was only sprinkled in very little bit throughout the entire season of the show. And it was very captivating. I really wanted to see more of the laboratory and more of the place that she came from, but they really focused in on the relationship between Koda and her, and his relationship with these other women in his home. And it really pulled me away from that intrigue because I didn't really care too much. I think it was their way of trying to get us to sympathize with Koda and Lucy, but unfortunately for me it did not go over as well as they planned it to. So not only was the plot itself poorly written, I did not like the interactions between the characters. And again, I'm putting aside the dialogue, but just the way that they were interacting and their dynamic. So Koda, who is taking care of this home, he becomes the caretaker also of certain female characters that are introduced to him as the anime goes on. And every one of these characters, for whatever reason, are very obsessed with him. And they are sexualized too. These women are very sexualized, and they are objectified as well. And this is sort of a problem I have with anime in general, that they always rely on this trope of sexualization of women to fulfill the fantasies of all these male fans, or also of the writers, because it didn't seem like Koda, who was the male main character, deserved these women's adoration. He didn't really do anything that I thought was deemed this much affection. He was just a sympathetic, nice guy. It doesn't really make sense that all these women are just flocking towards him. And it didn't even feel like that we needed to even stress that aspect of the show at all. That could have been a very small portion of it if they even needed to include it. It was almost half of the show. Half of the show was his relationship with these girls and how they love him so much. And then the other half, we actually get to see the action and the intrigue. But again, it was so distracting that I didn't even get to enjoy the other half as much until the later episodes, until they reach the climax. And again, this is what I'll say about the sexualization of women in this anime. If I wanted to watch something like that, I just watch porn. This is not why I came to watch this anime. I didn't come to watch this so I can, think about all these girls that are just enamored with a man and have no logic behind it. They're sort of doting. It's almost like an old film where, those women just, they fall over and they faint because they're so weak and there's so much action happening. That kind of stuff I think is unbelievable and just not worth my time. But I will give them this credence, that I did like the idea that Koda became their father figure. And I think that was something that should have been more stressed earlier on, that he is this strong anchor, this person that can really accept people and take them in. And we don't really get to that until later on. So they sort of begin in this very superficial way of this anime when they could have been developing that from the very get-go, that he is this father figure, that he is taking care of these women and they have these pasts that, they need a strong male figure in their life, and that's who Koda becomes. And if they really want to go that sexual route, because I understand that sometimes if we think about Freud, we think about psychological concepts that sort of interweave that need for a father figure can also eventually lead to a sort of a sexual place. But I don't think they should have started out that way. I think they should have developed it, but again, that is a fault of anime in general, not even just this one. Another redeemable part about the whole show in general was when they actually get to the climax. So the final couple episodes are amazing. They detract away from all that sexualization, all that objectification, and they focus back onto the laboratory, onto the telekinetic powers, and we get to see fights, we get to see brutality again, we get to see the parts that I really enjoyed, the action of this anime. And that climax was honestly the best part, and really seeing how all these characters connected was amazing. And I really wish that they focused that earlier on instead of just dragging out these long scenes where we see these female characters again doting on him like he is the best thing since sliced bread. They were so much focus on that when we finally get there, I felt like I was trudging through a swamp of just BS until I finally got to the center, the kernel, the core, the vibrant part of this anime that I really wanted to see. And I mean, the art style was very enjoyable. I mean, how everyone looked was very cool. I liked the drawings and all that. But this focus on the earlier parts, the domestic relationships, took such a big proportion of this anime that it took away from the best part, which was the ending. So this anime really scratched the surface of some very intriguing themes and topics that it could have, explored more about this nihilistic view of humanity. That maybe we shouldn't be on planet Earth, maybe there are better creatures, maybe there's another step in evolution, or these ideas of mass destruction. All these different concepts were very brushed upon, while it focused way more on the domestic relationship between Koda and all these girls. So I'm going to give this an anime a 4 out of 10. It's got good action scenes, got some good sci-fi concepts, but the plot and the writing sort of fall short. There are way better animes out there, so that's my review of Elfen Lied. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Remember to leave a comment, subscribe below, and I'll see you all next time.